Hello, this is Mr. Chu, and I'm here to help you learn some math. So if you've ever struggled with learning arithmetic, pre-algebra, algebra, geometry, check out my videos because I taught in the public schools for 24 years, and now after I've retired, I'm dedicating my time to you and making videos so that it makes math a little more easy to understand. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Mr. Keith E. Chu, and then you can see lots of videos that will help you. On TikTok and Instagram, you can follow me at Mr. Keith E. Chu. I've been making videos today about the Pythagorean Theorem. This happens to be number 1E, so I've done 5 now. And we're talking about rounding non-whole number sides. And these are problems A and B. Now, just to review quickly, the Pythagorean Theorem has to do with right triangles. When you're given 2 sides and you need a third side, you can use the Pythagorean Theorem to solve it. The 2 sides that make up the right angle in a right triangle are called the legs. And we give them the variable value A and B in our formula. The side opposite the right angle is called the hypotenuse, and we give it C. And A squared plus B squared equals C squared is the formula. Now, if a side does not have a whole number length once you figure it out using the formula, then you're going to have to round it. It's called an irrational number. So I offered example A and B, and you will be able to check out the link from the 1D, which explained how to do this. And this is working out the 2 problems that I challenge students to work on. So on the first one, it says we have a right triangle here. We have side 10, 8, and C. You notice that C is opposite the right angle, which means that's a hypotenuse. It has to have a value of C. And then the other 2 legs that make up the right angle will be A and B. Now, you have to take and use the formula and substitute the values in. So the A is an 8. So where the A is, I put parentheses, write the 8 in there, and we're going to square that. Where the B is, I'm going to put a 10. Square that, and that equals C squared. All right, so I encourage you to use calculators. I use a TI-30X. You can also use a Desmos calculator, which is a free online calculator, just by going to desmos.com, scientific calculator. We're going to find the missing length using the formula. There it is, plugged in, and round it to the nearest 10th. So 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64. 10 squared, which is 10 times 10, which is 100. And that equals C squared. I add them up. I get 164 equals C squared. The way we solve this in the early video, you do the inverse of a square, which is a square root. On a TI-30, to get the square root key, you're going to have to hit second x squared, 164, and it gives me 12.806. And that equals C. Now the digits go on and on and on. So now let's talk about how you would round this number. So to round to the nearest 10th, I underline the digit in the 10th place, and then I look to the right, and if it's 5 or greater, I round up. If it's less than 5, you go back to the 8. So 12.8 is my rounded value. Now I can go up here and I can write in C is about 12.8. You don't have to have a picture of the triangle in order to solve this. You can just use the formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and substitute the values. Here it says A is 13. So I put a 13 in here and square it, plus B I don't know, so I just write that B squared equals, for the C, I'm going to put in 18 and square it. 13 squared is 169. 18 squared, I'm not sure what that is off the top of my head. So since we're using a calculator, I would hit 18, x squared, enter, and that gives me 324. So now I solve this two-step equation by canceling out the plus 169 by doing its inverse or opposite. So I subtract a 169 from the left, subtract a 169 from the right. Since I already have the 324 in here, I just hit minus 169, enter, and I get 155 equals B squared. Well, I know that 12 squared is 144, and I know that the 13 squared is 169, so I know it's going to be between 12 and 13. So do you remember how you solve an equation that's a square equaling a number? You take the square root of both sides. So on a calculator like this, I hit second, x squared, 155, enter. And I get 12.44 12.4498, and it goes on and on and on. I don't want to put an equal sign there because it's an irrational number and it keeps repeating. We're rounding to the nearest tenth, so I put a line under the tenth and I look to the right. Is that number to the right, which is this 4 right here, the second 4, is it 5 or greater than 5? No. So it just reverts back to 12.4. And I know that B is 12.4, and that is approximate. So I'm going to go ahead, and up here there will be a link to my original part 1D, which is where I explained how to round. I explained how to find the approximate length when it's an irrational and not a whole number. You can click on it, and down here I have a playlist which has lots of Pythagorean Theorem, all of the lessons I've done up to this point. I'm going to end up putting some distance formula in there and maybe some other things. I'm Mr. Chu. This is Trey Arithmetic, and I want to help you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and I will see you next time in my next math video. Bye, everyone.